This is a video to supplement the lecture that introduced you to the cardiovascular system. I'm just going to go through the circulatory system in a step-by-step process, and we're going to look at a simpler diagram than we saw in class. So shown here is a very simple version of the heart. In the top chambers we have those are called the atria, right? So there's a right and a left atrium. And then in the bottom chambers we call those the ventricles. So there's a right and a left ventricle. Depicted in between the atria and the ventricles are valves. Those are the AV valves. And then at the bottom of the ventricles, I've put in the semilunar valves. Now, this heart is not depicted accurately in terms of the anatomy because we know that the ventricles kind of loop around and the arteries actually leave the top of the heart. So let's start with blood that is coming from the lungs. So blood will go through the lungs, go through these capillaries, and pick up oxygen that you've breathed in, and we usually depict oxygenated blood as red. Okay, so this is showing the blood coming from the lungs and into the left atrium. This blood is fully oxygenated. Okay, whenever we have blood vessels that are coming into the heart, bringing blood into the heart, we call those veins. This one, since it's coming from the lungs, we call the pulmonary vein. Okay, so the blood has picked up oxygen, is bringing it to the left side of the heart. The blood stays on the left side, goes through the left AV valve from atrium to ventricle, and then from the ventricle it leaves through the aorta and then brings oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. Okay, so this is known as the aorta. It's just another type of blood vessel. So blood vessels that are leaving the heart are called arteries. So aorta is an artery. And it's bringing oxygen to all the rest of the body, including the lungs, so that those tissues can make ATP using that oxygen. So once the blood has gone through the capillaries of the body, it's given up much of its oxygen and picked up carbon dioxide, a waste product, and it brings that deoxygenated blood, depicted in blue, to the right side of the heart. And blood always enters through the atrium first. This is a vein, another type of vein. This is known as the vena cava. Okay, so this is deoxygenated blood, although it actually does have quite a bit of oxygen still, but less than before. So the deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium and then goes through the right AV valve into the right ventricle, and then out of the right ventricle and back to the lungs so that it can pick up more oxygen. This artery is known as the pulmonary artery because it is bringing blood from the heart to the lungs. Okay, so the branch of the circulatory system that is going to the lungs to pick up oxygen and drop off CO2 is known as the pulmonary circulation. And the branch of the circulatory system that is bringing oxygen to all the rest of the tissues is known as the systemic circulation or circulatory system. So blood is always going through the lungs from the right side of the heart, and then blood is bringing oxygen to the body and leaving from the left side of the heart. So that's it. That's the entire circulatory system in a nutshell.